It is the biggest voting day of the presidential primary to date. Super Tuesday is underway. Polls are open across the country. The first polls open across the East Coast at 6 a.m. This after the Supreme Court unanimously ruled to keep President Trump on the 2024 primary ballot, saying that whether it's Colorado or any other state, a state cannot decide a president's eligibility on the ballot. Here's the 45th president responding to the ruling yesterday.
You cannot take somebody out of a race. The voters can take the person out of the race very quickly, but a court shouldn't be doing that, and the Supreme Court saw that very well.
Very well. In fact, it was unanimous, 9-0. Joining me right now is former acting U.S. Attorney General Matt Whitaker. Matt, good to see you. Your reaction?
Good morning. Yeah, well, obviously, it's a victory for the rule of law. And I think all Americans that believe in, voters deciding the future of this republic won as well. And so this is a big deal because it was unanimous, 9-0, in the fact that the federal government can't be superseded by the states and picking, who can be and who can't be on the ballot. So this is a big win. And I think it's going to be a string of victories for President Trump here in the Supreme Court as we move forward into November.
Well, I mean, look, Jamie Raskin and other Democrats are losing their mind over it. Certainly the liberal media is losing their minds over it. But Jamie Raskin says he is now, and he is, of course, a top Democrat, he is working on a bill responding to the Supreme Court's ballot ruling to push the issue to try to get Trump off the ballot. You saw that.
I did, but, remember, he's in the minority in the House, and it's just going to go nowhere. It's a lot of members of Congress try to do things, and many of them fall flat, and I expect this one will especially.
Well, let me get your take on another SCOTUS ruling, because the Supreme Court temporarily blocking a new Texas immigration law. That law would allow local authorities in Texas and judges in Texas to arrest and deport suspected illegal migrants. The ruling on hold, however, until at least March 13th, Matt. Your thoughts?
Yeah, while this wasn't on the merits, I think this is a little concerning because obviously the federal government has failed on the southern border. We've talked about it many times on your show, Maria, and I think this is an instance where Texas has had to step up, and the only way they can is to defend their own border from this invasion from countries all over that are trying to send the worst of their folks and move them to the United States so they don't have to deal with them. But, I think ultimately Texas will prevail in this court. Obviously, this is a minor setback, but at the end of the day, we should encourage Texas and other states to defend their own border when the federal government fails.
I don't understand how the federal government explains itself for this. I mean, we've all watched what has happened over the last 3 years on Joe Biden's watch, Matt. How do they sit there and justify keeping this border open wide enough to allow 10 million illegals on Joe Biden's watch in 3 years?
Well, obviously, it's intentional, but I think the more concerning thing is that every time Texas tries to do something, the federal government, through DOJ and Joe Biden's Department of Justice, rushes to court for emergency relief. And that's what they did in this case we were just talking about. And they've done it several times, whether it's the buoys out in the middle of the Rio Grande or whether it's this temporary fence in Eagle Pass. I mean, in every case, the Biden administration is trying to prevent Texas and prevent law and order at our southern border. And I think that is why November is so important for, American sovereignty and law and order.
Yeah, Joe Biden has still not mentioned Laken Riley's name. Really offensive. The fact that he cannot mention Laken Riley's name because she was murdered by an illegal, allegedly an illegal who came into this country in September of 2022. I think that people realize this, though. Former President Trump is inching closer to clinching the GOP nomination. We expect him to get that nomination by March 12th. He had a victory yesterday in North Dakota in that caucus. Nikki Haley getting her first win, however, in Washington, D.C. over the weekend. She won the Republican primary there, so she's got one win under her belt, Matt. Your thoughts on election 2024?
Yeah, 2,000 people voted in the D.C. primary as Republicans. It's another reason why Donald Trump's never going to be able to get a fair trial in the Jack Smith case that he brought here in the district. But, I just think at the end of the day, this law and order issue is going to be front and center for the American people because, again, they want to be safe in their own homes and their own communities.
So you don't think President Trump will be able to get a fair trial in the Jack Smith case?
No, I think it's impossible. 92% of the district inhabitants voted for Joe Biden in 2000, and now you had 2,000 Republicans raise their hands in Washington, D.C. and say they were Republicans, and 2/3 of them voted for Nikki Haley. I just don't think there's any scenario where he can get a fair trial in Washington, D.C.
So where is that going, do you think?
Well, obviously, the immunity question is huge. It's in front of the Supreme Court. They're going to hear it in April, probably issue an opinion in June. I think that is going to be probably the whole ball game, most likely, but we'll see what the justices do with it, because again, it's a novel legal theory from Jack Smith trying to bring these cases. And remember, the January 6th case also has a fairly flawed theory of prosecution as well. The Supreme Court's going to hear later in this term, and I think that could undermine a lot of the case against Trump as well in Washington, D.C.
Do you expect Trump to be in trial before the election?
Well, I mean, I think there'll be trials scheduled. We'll see what happens. Most likely, the trial in New York will go. It's the weakest case by far that Alvin Bragg brought. But then you'll probably see the Fulton County case continue to unravel, and maybe the case down in Florida gets scheduled. But I don't know if it goes to trial. I don't see the federal cases going to trial before the election.
All right, Matt, we'll be watching all of that. Thanks so much for your expertise. Matt Whitaker joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Good to see you, sir.